McCarthy. Take the handoff. And Alec Manis is going to throw a pick.
They give it to Cora. Up back. Cora. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Ruben Wilson does it again. Cora finds some daylight. He's got some speed and some blockers.
Outside. Turns the corner. Blake Cora down the sideline.
Looking over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Wolverine. McCarthy extends the play. Now using legs. McCarthy a first down.
Woo! All right. Woo. I still like that intro, even though I don't have any of the plays in it from the national championship or the Rose Bowl. I'm gonna have to update that so we have a couple of those in there.
No, don't. It'll get taken down.
Oh no.
Yeah, we got to wait like 20 years.
All right, everybody, we've got a good show tonight. Harbaugh has been suspended, as I'm sure you've all heard. Michigan has turned around and made him an honorary captain. Also, we've got guests, all of that, and we're going to take your chats tonight as well, right here on the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show, where we've got expert trash talk and unrivaled analysis on team rivalry. It's a little play on words. We look at the Big Ten from a Michigan perspective. We talk about the latest news and give our opinions. That's an important word to remember, opinion. And we ask you to give yours. It's called Talking Football. That's what we're going to do here. I am your host, Cliff. With me, as always, is Mac. You got to point in the right direction. We are not in the same room anymore. So, Mac, how are you doing over there? How are things out west?
I'm good. I'm not that far out west. Still in Michigan, obviously. I'm fine. You know, I was debating whether or not I should make a third pot of coffee for the show because I didn't get like barely any sleep last night because I just keep thinking about the hammer, man. When's the hammer coming? Is the hammer coming or is it not coming? When's the hammer coming, man? I'm just so nervous about the hammer.
They're already talking about it in the chat, too.
Yep.
We do have the guys from Scarlet and Blue on tonight. Garrison and Bryce are going to bring those guys on in just a little bit. But first, we have to do the check down. Look at that. It came up just the way I wanted it to.
Sweet.
The check down is where we bring you the latest news in college football and beyond. Mac, feel free to comment at will.
I will.
All right. First, Michigan has finally raised the banner. Did you hear about this? No?
No, I didn't. I didn't hear about this.
Nobody has, I'm sure.
Oh.
Michigan has raised the 2023 National Championship banner. Sources report it's nearly as wide as the scoreboard and clearly visible from across the street. That is a 5-lane road, by the way, just so we all understand how wide that street actually is. As you can imagine, the NCAA promptly issued a level 2 violation against Michigan for raising the banner, and then made it a level 1 violation because they didn't take it down fast enough. But not to worry, Michigan will cooperate with the NCAA and take the banner down before every home game and replace the M Club banner with the championship banner so the players can touch it as they come out onto the field. Michigan president, it would be great. Yeah, Michigan President Santa Ono was asked if he thinks this is appropriate, and he replied, the NCAA can suck it. The only part of that story that's true is that there is a banner, and you can see it from across the street. It's real, and it's spectacular. Speaking of home games, that's a Seinfeld joke, sorry. Speaking of home games, would advance this. I wish this would advance by itself. Jim Harbaugh, recently suspended by the NCAA with a 4-year show cause, will be the honorary captain when Michigan opens the season against Fresno State on August 31st. Michigan fans are elated. Rival fans are disgusted. Turns out Harbaugh and Ward Manuel have actually been planning this since January 2024. And you know what that means. The NCAA can suck it. I'm sorry, I had trouble coming up with a punchline for that one, and I realized the NCAA is the punchline. Speaking of punchlines, Paul Feinbaum, sports reporter at ESPN, is at it again, but this time he's criticizing the NCAA. Feinbaum believes the NCAA's college football suspension punishment is letting Harbaugh off the hook because it wasn't severe enough, and it's making him out to be a sympathetic figure. He accused the NCAA of being petty, dysfunctional, and vindictive. The NCAA has responded by suspending Feinbaum from CBS Sports.
And he can suck it.
And he works for ESPN. Finally, buying the naming rights to a stadium is not new. We've got High Point Stadium. We've got AT&T Stadium. But what is new is a recording artist buying the naming rights to a stadium. Pitbull, recording artist, I'm sorry, I don't like him, purchased the naming rights to FIU Stadium for $1.2 million per year with an option to renew after 5 years. They're calling it Pitbull Stadiums because recording artists are nothing if not creative. But I'm looking forward to the other upcoming deals. Lil Wayne is buying the rights to Spartan Stadium and calling it Lil Bro Stadium. James Franklin himself is buying the naming rights to Beaver Stadium, and he's calling it Jim Salon Football Played Also. You remember when he talked to the reporter about his haircut? Said you got a really nice haircut?
Yeah, I remember that. You said it looked handsome. It was nice.
That stuck with him, so it's going to be part of the name of the stadium. Of course, and we saw this coming, the Pink Stuff Power Foaming Toilet Cleaner is buying the naming rights to Ohio State Stadium. No word yet on what the name will be.
It's the Diarrhea Bowl.
This has been the Checkdown. If you like what you've seen so far, don't forget to smash that like button. And as long as you're there, slide ever so slightly to the left and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed already. Mac, it is time to bring on our guests.
All right.
Actually, before I do that, I just looked over to my right and I saw this. Blue Wolverine coming through again. Thank you very much, Big Go Blue, to Blue Wolverine. Always coming through for us. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Blue Wolverine.
Our guests tonight, we have the guys from Scarlet and Blue. These gentlemen have been friends. From what I understand, they can correct me on this when they get on here. They have been friends since the 8th grade, and they've been arguing with each other over Michigan and Ohio State football for about 15 years now, I think. They are the host of the Scarlet and Blue channel right here on YouTube. Please welcome Garrison and Bryce. Oh, I just lost this thing there. Here we go.
Okay.
There's Bryce. There's Garrison. How are you guys doing?
Good. That was an incredible intro. My goodness.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Top to bottom. Unbelievable.
He's pretty good at intros, not going to lie. He's gotten good at them.
And I don't think any lies were told.
No, man, when you started, I was like...
Oh, no, we lost your audio, Garrison.
Well, I think there's a delay.
Oh, no, I'm here. All I was saying was... Oh, sorry. I can hear you guys. Oh,
you can hear us? We can hear the first part of what you're saying, and then it goes away.
Oh, well, I'll let you guys continue talking. I'll fix that.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I get it now.
He's doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Sorry, that took me a second. Oh, no. Now he's gone.
No, he's not actually doing it on purpose. It's cool.
No.
No.
I thought he was just messing with us after the toilet bowl joke. Anyway. Oh, yeah. So, Bryce, while we're waiting for Garrison, why don't you tell us what you guys do? Who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, again, thanks for having us on. We are. So, yeah, Garrison and I go back, as you mentioned, 15 plus years or so. And we've been doing this back and forth for a long time. Obviously, for us Michigan fans, there was a stretch where I wasn't doing a ton of talking. But still, it was still there. And, as all college football fans can do, we can hype up our season. And most college programs have a large level of hope going into the season, no matter what happened in the previous season. So that always flooded into the upcoming seasons, and the smack talk was still there. And so we've been doing that dance over texting, phone calls, and we've lived across the country from each other. And no matter what the distance has been, it always has kind of come back to us talking crap. And so we're like, hey, let's start this show, and maybe some people will listen to us. And we're not quite as big, legitimate as you guys are, but we're working our way up there, and we're having fun with it. It's friendly banter.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Except let's see, the Saturday after Thanksgiving this year, the day after New Year's, and then January 9th. Those weren't very fun episodes for Garrison. But other than that, most of the episodes have been a ton of fun.
They weren't.
They weren't.
That's all right. I mean, Garrison probably had a lot of fun for 10 years since 2011. It's probably been a pretty good time up until about 2021, I'd imagine.
I don't count 2011. I don't count that year.
Oh no.
I feel like, no, that's a weird one for me too. Like, I obviously count it, but I'm just kind of like, that was a flash in the pan kind of thing. And that was only because Jim Tressel got caught doing something that everybody's encouraged to do now. So, whatever.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, did you guys play football in high school and college at all?
Yeah, I don't want to answer for Garrison, but yeah, we played high school football together all 4 years, and then Garrison was quite a bit better than I was. So he played a little bit of college ball.
Oh, nice. At Ohio State or what?
No. Oh no.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
He was good.
I went
He
to the
wasn't that
University
good.
of St. Francis. I played there for 2 years. Didn't start or anything. Just played it before I joined the Navy.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool. And you guys are, I think you guys are actually pretty close to Mac here, not only in age, but in location. Are you guys, you don't have to tell me specifically where you are, but you guys are in Michigan, yes?
Yes, as of 3 months ago,
Yeah.
I moved back.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Because I noticed you guys advertised.
I was saying I live on the west side too by Bryce.
Okay, Mac lives on the west side of the state as well. I'm closer to Ann Arbor.
How close to Grand Rapids without getting too specific?
We're probably. Well, I mean, Garrison. Sorry, I feel like I have to answer for Garrison. But no, let's just say 131 and between 100th Street and 68th Street.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
I'm probably about 40 minutes from you. So I've actually mentioned on the show before too. I live in Holland. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm right in the heart of downtown, man.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I'll probably pass by your place at some point then.
We had the guys from Buckeyes Battle Cry. I don't know if you've seen their channel. Pete and Rob are a couple of good guys. We've had them on before. And so what I've got for you guys is what I call my 3 questions. I came up with 3 questions for them because I thought they lived in Ohio. It turns out they both live in Michigan, pretty close to me. So it's humorous to me. We've got so we were connected also with the Voice of College Football Network, and I think the guy who runs the Nebraska channel lives in Arizona. One of the guys on the Michigan channel lives in California.
Now that we're just doxing everybody.
Yeah. Does anybody live near the team they support? I don't know.
I'll tell you this: no one willingly lives in Ohio. You're there by job, family, unfortunate circumstances, or maybe you go to school there, and then you can still support them. But then you choose to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Case in point, Garrison here, my dear friend.
No comment.
Yeah.
I always go back to the Simpson joke. This kind of thing doesn't happen in America. Ohio maybe, but not America.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not laughing.
Guys,
I'm not laughing.
Where's the satire? I just can't tell so far in this episode. Everything seems so legit.
Yep.
No jokes have been said.
Don't worry, Garrison. We'll let you get your shots in. That's fine. Right now it's 3 against 1, right? So Garrison will get his shots in. But what I have here is 3 questions for you guys. Now, what these are, so we just talked a little bit to try to get to know you guys. These 3 questions are non-related football questions, non-football related questions. Real simple answer, and then just kind of rapid fire, just so people can get to know you. So, are you ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Ready. Okay. The Office or Parks and Rec?
Oh.
The Office. I've seen it 19 times.
Yeah.
Through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's gotta be The Office. That's
gotta be The Office.
Brutal first question. God,
Isn't it though? Yeah.
That kind of hurt, man. Why'd you? Okay.
I know Mac is a big Parks and Rec fan.
I enjoy Parks. I mean, I love The Office. I think, like, quality speaking, I think The Office is probably better. But Parks and Rec has some good stuff in it. I'm not going to lie.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two-Hearted IPA or Oberon? I know you guys advertise vodka, but we got to go with beer.
Yeah. I'll go Oberon. Be different.
Oh, all right.
Just
Another Michigan question, since we all live in Michigan. Coney dogs or Detroit style pizza?
So I'll tell you this, Cliff. Coming back to Michigan and having Jets pizza here has rocked my world. So give me that.
Oh, yeah?
Are we calling Jets Detroit style? We're calling that, right?
I believe it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Fair, yeah.
Then yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, give me Jets.
Okay.
Garrison's
I'll
still
go with
thinking.
Coney dogs. If you ever come to Grand Rapids, Michigan, go to Yester Dogs, the best one you'll have.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Have you
I gotta
guys
write
ever
that
been
down.
to what is it, American Coney down in Detroit?
Yes.
Are there a few locations, or is it just that one?
I think that's the first one, but
Okay.
it's an iconic place down in Detroit. They've got really good Coney dogs. All right, I do have a bonus question, and this one, I don't know if this one's easier or tougher. Who's your all-time favorite coach? Bryce from Michigan, Garrison from Ohio State.
I mean, boy, it's tough not all-time Michigan coach.
Yeah,
it's tough
all-time
not to say
favorite.
Harbaugh, given everything that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. Are we doing just football?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading into this way too much. Okay. All right,
Just name a coach.
that softball coach from a few years ago, she was awesome.
Oh yeah.
What
Oh
was her
shoot,
name?
I forgot her name too. Yeah, I know what you're
Carol
talking
Hutchins. Hutchins.
about. Yes, Carol
Yes.
Hutchins.
Coach Hutch. Yes, she was great.
Yeah, she's
And
awesome.
then John Beeline's the man. But no,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I grew up with Lloyd Carr. That probably shows my age a little bit. So there's that. But Jim, everything he's done, I love him so much. I've got a Michigan jersey, some Chinese made one, and then I've got a Bears Harbaugh jersey as well. I love that guy so much.
Cool.
Garrison, who you got?
I'll probably go with Jim Tressel. I think he laid the foundation for everything you see today in the last 20 years from Ohio State's program. So that's what I'd definitely go with.
Yeah,
That's fair.
That's
absolutely fair.
it was difficult not to fear Jim Tressel the entire time he was coaching. That's for sure.
Nerdiest coach ever with those sweater vests, man.
Sweater vest guy.
Dang,
Yeah.
he was a great coach. Oh my gosh, he was
He's the
great.
president. He's the
All his
president.
Yeah, president of Youngstown State now, right?
Yes.
Is he? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But man, yeah, those sweater vests were next level too, because he looked good in them too. I'm not gonna lie, he made a sweater vest look good. I mean, he was a great coach.
Didn't he wear the tie too? So he had the tie and the sweater vest.
Tie, yeah, and then the sweater vest.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
Probably the sharpest dressed coach in college football, honestly.
Yeah. Tough to say anything bad about him.
Yep.
It is, yeah.
All right. We are going to step aside for just a moment. We're going to let Mac do his monologue, and then we'll be back to talk about that. Let me see if I can get everybody shuffled around here real quick. And Mac?
Oh, well, it's just me now. Well, where did my monologue go? Here it is. All right. Well, wait, now I'm not. Can anybody hear me? Dad, what are you doing? All right, here we go. So Mac's monologue. Welcome, everybody, to the segment. Last week on the show, we had a viewer claim that we were lying or uninformed about what happened with Connor Stalions and Signgate. So I invited them to post every lie or uninformed claim that we made during the show so that I could address it right now. And wow, did they deliver? They gave me 4 complete paragraphs of lies or uninformed information they felt we told. Now allow me to give my rebuttal to each one. Accusation number 1, claiming that everyone has a sign stealer and that the means in which in Stalions, they didn't do very well with the grammar thing. Claiming that the means in which Stalions operated resulted in no competitive advantage, while ignoring that any game you watch, the sign stealer is never feeding the coordinators play-by-play info like Stalions is shown doing game after game. Saying it happens doesn't make it true. My rebuttal. Connor Stalions didn't get in trouble for sign stealing. He got in trouble for in-person scouting. Specifically, he got in trouble for paying people to go scout games for him, which, depending on how you look at it, could be considered a loophole because the rule just states that someone employed by Michigan couldn't scout in advance. I'll grant you, It's a sketchy loophole at best, and I think Stallions probably would have been smart not to push that. That rule, according to an article on CBS Sports, however, from Dennis Dodd, says that the NCAA was going to remove that rule back in 2019, I think it was anyway, to modernize rules that no longer serve the needs of the membership and the 21st century student athlete. In conclusion, Stallions found a sketchy loophole to a rule that was going to be eliminated by NCAA bylaws anyway. To answer the second part of the accusation, though, in an article by Bruce Feldman from The Athletic, a coach was interviewed talking about their sign stealer, who was officially a defensive analyst coach. The interviewee talked about how their sign stealer has changed the course of entire games for them. For example, this particular sign stealer said that he picked up on an opponent's signal for running a boot play. The signal was literally just a gesture of somebody trying to put on boots. The sign stealer caught it, gave the call to the defensive coordinator, and then on that play, the defense got a pick six. The sign stealer has also worked in multiple formerly Power 5 conferences, so it's not just a Michigan thing, but it is an example of how this stuff happens on a play-by-play basis. Now, in researching this for this monologue, I also found a story where the current Virginia Tech head coach, Brent Pry, said that when he was coaching defense at Louisiana Lafayette, he would print out his playbook. And he would make changes to it on the day of the game and then tear up the first draft of the playbook and throw it away. Well, turns out an opponent found the playbook, taped it back together, and gave his offense a ton of crap the entire game long because of that. So everybody's looking for a leg up, right? So that's accusation number one. Here's accusation number two, and I promise the rest of these are not going to be as long. Accusation 2, claiming that the coaches responsible for the level 1 violations have left the program somehow absolves the program itself from wrongdoing and nullifies the level 1 violations. This is simply false. The program will be held responsible regardless. The NCAA has shown this time and time again. It regularly has happened that a scandal occurs, then the school fires the individual coaches involved, and the NCAA still enforces the penalty in full. Now, this is half correct. Individual people can, in fact, get sanctions from the NCAA for their part. In terms of whether the program will get punished, remains to be seen. If I ever said that Michigan absolutely wouldn't be punished as a program because the responsible parties weren't there anymore, then I was wrong. That's not correct. And honestly, in my opinion, I think the whole thing boils down to what side of the bed the folks at the NCAA wake up on a given day. Further, from what I've heard from both Pete Thamel and Dan Murphy, the most we should expect is Sharon Moore getting suspended, Michigan paying a fine. That's about it. And Moore getting suspended was really only because he deleted text messages with Stallions that he later recovered and handed over anyway. Plus, the NCAA didn't find anything. Otherwise, they would have given him a level 1 violation instead of level 2. Accusation number 3. Claiming that a conspiracy theory is being perpetuated by ESPN outing Michigan because it will impact Fox and not ESPN. This is simple to debunk. It impacts both. Fox has the rights to 4 to 5 Michigan games per year on average, and maybe there are 3 high ratings games. ESPN potentially has the rights to 4 Michigan games each year, which will all be high rated games because of the CFP. This amounts to ESPN getting their nose or cutting off their nose to spite their face. I can't see anything. Why would they devalue their own product? My rebuttal. Yep. I even said this was a conspiracy and that I didn't buy it. Maybe I didn't state it clearly enough that I didn't buy it, but I did say it was a conspiracy, and let me be clear right now. I don't buy it. Accusation number 4. Okay. Claiming that Pete Thamel has something against Michigan because he is an OSU alum. This is either just uneducated misinformation or just simply a lie. Pete Thamel has no ties to Ohio State and is a Syracuse alum and fan. My rebuttal. Yeah, no, you're right. This is absolutely true. I will be the first to admit that I hopped right on the Pete Thamel hate train for no other reason than I was getting caught up on the Twitter mob mentality of it all. But 2 things are true here. 2 things can be true at once. 1, Pete Thamel graduated from Syracuse. And 2, an orange is a stupid mascot. And that's been my monologue.
If you like Mac's monologue, don't forget to hit subscribe while you're at it. And we're going to bring the guys back on here to, whoops, hit the wrong button.
We're just getting rid of all of us.
We'll just get rid of everybody. And now we'll bring everybody back.
There we go.
So, okay, so as I've got the guys back here, Mac, my question is, we've talked about this, Bryce and Garrison. I'm sure you guys have had this too. This isn't football. This is just social media. You're doing your show. You're making your comments. You're talking your opinions, and somebody always has to come out and say, "You said this, and you were absolutely wrong." And sometimes you're just saying stuff. You're just getting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think people can't just have a conversation instead of making accusations?
That's too easy. No, I think it's a great point. Garrison and I kind of have a rule that we've found ourselves instilling, is that you don't, the opinions you hear online aren't yours. So if your fan base says X, that's not necessarily your opinion, and you can talk about and discuss it, but you can't hold our feet to the fire for something that somebody else says. And we got that. We got that a lot with everything that's happened since Connor Stallions was brought to the forefront.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay, guys.
That's okay.
No, go ahead.
No, you please.
No, I was gonna say, what Bryce says is completely right. We don't take on the opinions of our fan base. Like last year, this year, everyone wants to go back into a QB battle for Ohio State. I'm not gonna be a part of it. I don't care to be a part of it. And when people ask me who I want to be the quarterback, I don't have an answer. I truly don't care who the quarterback is. So no, I'm right there with Bryce.
Yeah, I think if you look at, like Garrison said with the QB battle, Garrison, there's been a few of these where we kind of come hot at each other, and then it's just like, well, I didn't say that. That's not what I disagree with that. And there's a few times where Garrison disagrees with his fan base, and we'll bring on guests and from Buckeye Nation, and then obviously disagree with some Michigan fans. And I'll give Garrison credit here. As oftentimes as we heard hammer, and I see a lot of the people in the chat, saying where's the hammer, which is an excellent question. Mm-hmm. That wasn't Garrison. He was never one to say you're going to get. If he was, it was maybe early on, but once he actually saw a lot more of the information, he said that, hey, you're probably not going to get the probation, or you're not going to get the death penalty. The massive hammer's not going to come, and we had to work through that one together.
I gotta say, so I'm really excited that you guys are on the show, especially to talk about this just for a second, because even we have said that we don't want to talk about this for very long, because I think honestly we're both really sick of it, even though it's been amazing for the channel. Holy crap. But I'm really excited that you guys are on, because how do you handle this conversation? Like Garrison, from a Buckeye point of view, what do you think about it all? Do you think, does it look really bad for Michigan? You're a Buckeye fan. What do you got?
I think for probably the old guard of Wolverine Nation, maybe so. I've always told Bryce that I believe that the university tries to paint itself in a way that is better than a lot of institutions, almost like it's a private school when it's not. It's a public school. And but even this whole Harbaugh thing, I'm over it. I've talked about it too much now. I've said what I've had to say. And even think about, he's coming to be an honorary captain. Optically, doesn't look that good. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Oh. And that is a really nice segue, because the first thing we wanted to talk about was Harbaugh being the honorary captain at the Fresno State game. As I was saying in the checkdown, this is actually true that Harbaugh and Ward Manuel have been talking about this since January, since right after the national championship, which makes me think they knew pretty quickly that he was going to be heading to the NFL. I can understand. They do this all the time. They always bring guys back. They bring back the championship teams from every sport. They bring back coaches. They've brought back Lloyd Carr. Oddly enough, Rich Rodriguez has never been back.
Why?
But
that's weird.
So he gets suspended, and I believe it was the very next day they announced that they're bringing him back to be the honorary captain. And what are you guys' thoughts on this? You three get to talk about this. And I know, Garrison, you just mentioned it a little bit, but flesh this out. What goes through everybody's mind when something like this happens? Not everybody wants.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic move. I think that's an interesting point you made, that if they were talking about this back in January, then Harbaugh was always on his way out. And that's something Garrison and I've talked about, which is the why he left and wonder what circumstances he left. We've kind of gone back and forth on that a lot, and feels like that's kind of painting a new picture, or maybe some new elements of truth as to why he left. But I love it. I think the NCAA is a joke of an organization right now. I think what it once was is no longer what it is. And this is just a massive middle finger and a slap in the face to them. And I'm going to the game. If anyone else is going to that game, that night game at Fresno, hit me up. We'd love to see you there. But it's going to be a night game. It's going to be the first celebration, aside from maybe the spring game, where people will be there all in attendance back at the big house. And like you said, the banner's up. There's going to be a lot of hype going into this year. And to have him there is just the icing on the cake. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I guess, like, for me, like Garrison said, optics, it doesn't look good. And well, I guess you also said, who cares? And I agree with that. Who cares? But I think it's kind of fun because, like, if Ohio State brought, let's say, like, Urban Meyer back, or if Ohio State brought Jim Tressel back, I'd be like, that's amazing. I mean, what an amazing, like, storyline, like the return of Jim Tressel after what happened. Because I've been like a pretty decent Jim Tressel defender on the show here. Like, I don't really think that he did anything wrong, because in fact, like, NIL is a thing now. So the tattoo gate thing really just, it doesn't bother me. I mean, obviously at the time I was like, heck yeah, vacate those wins, buck nuts. Like, that's hilarious. But like, if Ohio State brought Tressel back today, I'd be like, yeah, that's fantastic. Like, the more people we have giving the middle finger to the NCAA at this point is kind of good in my book. I don't know, Garrison, how you would feel about Tressel coming back. Maybe you'd like it, but yeah, I don't know. That's my opinion. Is the more people giving the middle finger to the NCAA is good, in my opinion.
I think Tressel's already been back, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, I thought so too.
Oh, has he? Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Ohio State.
I don't remember what year it was.
Oh, this is gonna be a good point too.
Oh yeah, it was.
Hold on, Garrison, your audio just went out again. Start over. Oh, and his screen is locking up too.
Yeah, I'll add it. Hopefully he'll come back. But I will say
all right.
It is unfortunate, and I think I said this on our show, that if what happened to Ohio State happened today, obviously it'd be a nothing burger, to use that. That
nice
term.
one.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be, for obvious reasons. And so I'm with you, man. I think we can sit here and we can mock and laugh and call them cheaters in 11, but then it was just like, today that'd be nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think. Oh, one thing to address too. Was it Brian Myers? There's one. He had a comment on here. He said, "That's smart. Flip off the people who hold your fate in your hands." Here's the thing, guys, and I would love to hear your guys' opinions on this. Does the NCAA still hold our fate in their hands?
Man, it really doesn't seem like it. And I think you have to step back on this one, because this assumes that everything the NCAA says is true in the way that they've stated it. Because what's happened is it's gone from, well, there was the burger, he bought the burger, to Jim Harbaugh is unethical. And those statements are really far apart. Mm-hmm. When if the problem is that he bought a burger and then doesn't remember it. And the article I saw the other day, actually it's the excerpt from the book coming out, that they're quoting Tom Mars, Harbaugh's lawyer, saying that Harbaugh legitimately didn't remember, because he meets hundreds of players every year, and he probably buys burgers for hundreds of players every year. So he may not have remembered that particular time. And I know, to the rival fans, that's going to sound like a justification, but I mean, the guy is famous. He's huge. Everybody knows him. Everybody meets him, and he's not going to remember everybody he meets. So he told the NCAA, I don't remember that. They turn it around and said, oh, you're lying. And so that's the story that gets picked up, that he's lying and he's unethical. He wasn't lying. He legitimately didn't remember. So this statement from Brian Myers, and he's made a few of them like this, assumes that the worst of everything Harbaugh has done they frame everything the worst. They frame everything Harbaugh has done in the worst possible way.
I'll say that, like,
and
sorry,
Garrison's back.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, there we go.
Flip your phone, brother.
Oh, he wants you to go landscape your portrait right now.
Okay. Well, I'll change your Bryce here in a second. But I was just gonna finish what I was saying. Since we're all good and clear now.
All right.
I think if this was happening to Ohio State, I think most of the fan base would not be as considerate as Mac. I think most of the fan base would go along and boo-hoo about it if we were to bring in Jim Tressel the year after Tattoo Gate. I truly believe that. Think what you want about the whole Urban situation. Bryce knows how I feel about Urban. But I think if he had came back the next year, I think Michigan fans would have cried about that. So I don't necessarily think everyone like Bryce and Mac, where they just want to tear down the infrastructure of the NCAA. But as long as it comes to college football, but yeah, but I don't know.
Well,
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I think when it happens, everybody gets really excited. Obviously, when it happened to Ohio State, all of us Michigan fans were like Max said, bring the hammer down, because that's what we do as rivals. We sort of go after each other that way, and then time goes by and you start to realize, as Mac and I did with Tattoo Gate, we're like, wait a minute, all they did was they got tattoos for money or something. It's like that doesn't even affect the game, and so then it was just like, well, this is just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, when it happens to your own team, you're like, well, wait a minute, let's find out what's really going on. And I think for us as Michigan fans, we went through all of those years with Rich Rod and Hoke, and then the early years. Well, actually, Harbaugh's early years were actually still good years. We just didn't get anywhere. But there's probably a lot of frustration built up. But at any rate, Mac, go ahead. What else were you going to say there?
Did you just say the Hoke years were good years?
Sugar Bowl, baby.
One
good year, dude.
Their early Harbaugh years were good years. That's what I meant to say. So there's a perfect example. Somebody's going to attack me in the comments saying, you said the Hoke years were good. I meant to say the early Harbaugh years were actually good. They just didn't get anywhere.
Well, they got more. Well, okay, yeah, no, you're right. I can't remember the other point I was going to make. I guess I'll say though that Garrison, you're absolutely right. If the situation were flipped and Michigan or Ohio State was going through the type of thing that Michigan's going through right now, like, yeah, I guarantee the lion's share of Michigan fans would be laughing at Ohio State right now, for sure. And, we'd be up here on the channel, I hope, saying the same things that we're saying now, like, wait until more evidence comes out. Let's see what's actually going on. And then as the evidence comes out, go like, yeah, we kind of figured this was a nothing burger. And obviously it's easy enough for us to say now, 12 years later, that Tattoo Gate was a bunch of nothing. And also, I'll just defend myself a little bit too. Back in 2011, I was 17 and just frankly didn't care. I just wanted Michigan to win games and I wanted to survive high school. But in any case, I'd like to think that if we had a channel back then, I'd be saying the same thing. Like, Tattoo Gate, it's kind of dumb. It doesn't really mean anything. I don't know. The whole thing is just kind of silly. And I think you're right. Like, I just want to see the NCAA leave everybody alone and let CFB be CFB.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's leave all of that behind now, and we can move on and talk about some football, because that's what we really want to talk about. We want to talk about football. So Mac wanted to talk about the Isaiah Hole video. This is where the questions are coming from anyway. It doesn't matter if you saw the video or not. Isaiah Hole recently put out a video talking about Michigan's 5 toughest games and how the style of play would dictate the outcome, which at first to me sounded like, well, of course. But I believe what he's talking about is for the team to be able to shift gears fast enough to be able to match the other team, complementary football. The 5 toughest games that are being touted is Texas, USC, Washington, Oregon, and Ohio State. Those would be the biggest games on the schedule, according to Isaiah Hole. I'm assuming, do you guys agree with that? It's kind of.
I wouldn't say Washington, but I think they're going to be bad. But maybe
Washington's going to be bad?
I think they're going to be horrible.
Yeah, they really do have. What's interesting is I think Washington is actually going through what a lot of people are saying that Michigan is going through. because Washington has got a complete turnover. Michigan has a turnover, but the guys that are coming up were all developed by the coaches above them.
Yeah.
So it's not so much a turnover as it is a upgrade.
They call it like everything's different, but everything's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question was, does Michigan have the personnel to play complementary football on offense? And I'm actually going to kind of stay out of this because Mac wanted to talk this question through.
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts on this. So does Michigan have the personnel to play complementary football on offense? So we've talked about Michigan's offense being kind of in a state of flux right now. Like there's questions at quarterback. Is Orji the guy? Does Orji have questions in terms of his completion? Is he going to get the completion percentage necessary to keep the ball or to keep Michigan's offense ahead of schedule and stuff like that? There's also the idea that Michigan Orji brings a running component to the quarterback position that can also complement, like, you've got Donovan Edwards, you've got a lot of wide receivers that can run end arounds and things like that. So I guess the question might actually be twofold. Do you think the offensive issues for Michigan are maybe overrated or overstated? And then with as good as we expect Michigan's defense to be this year, can they still play complementary football like they have been?
Bryce? Yeah, I think that's the question that we're all waiting to hear the answer, because within that question is a bunch of little questions that you just mentioned. The quarterback position is fascinating. I mean, I can't get enough of all of the insiders of getting all the leaks from camp. And you hear, I thought the first one I heard was that Tuttle was one, and then recently it's Orji, because you hear what Tyler Morris was saying, and then Davis Warren's kind of coming on as 1B behind Alex Orji's 1A, and it's just a lot of uncertainty. And then you said too, what those guys bring is very different. We haven't really seen Alex Orji throw the ball aside from the spring game. And I think you got to ask the question is, okay, what the defense is going to be awesome again. I was going through the whole depth chart today, and the defense side of the ball is, boy, you feel so good about so many positions there, even with the losses we've had. But if you go back to the offense, can the offense hold when the defense makes stops and the offense is stalled out? I feel like a lot of times last year in the third quarter, Michigan offense kind of stalls out. And so, can you withstand that, and can you make plays? And JJ made plays on third down oftentimes last year. And can Orji do that this year? Can the quarterback do that this year? And so they say that Kirk Campbell is opening up the offense a little bit, which is exciting because we don't have the, maybe Clell Mullins could be that Blake Corum, fit a little bit of that hole. But I think Donovan Edwards is going to have a huge year this year as well. So I think they can. I think they can. It's going to look different. I think JJ, as much as Garrison's going to laugh at this, I think JJ was a truly special quarterback. I think if JJ played in Lincoln Riley offense, it'd be a different story. He put up different numbers. But I think he was a special quarterback, and it's going to look different, but I'm feeling pretty confident.
Okay.
Garrison? I'll set you up there, Garrison.
No, I don't think J.J. McCarthy is special. I think Arizona's quarterback Fafita could have played with that team. No, I think Bryce hit on the nail. I think, most people will feel this way. It all depends on how Alex Orji is in the pass game. When you talk about J.J. McCarthy last year and some of those third quarters when they often stalled out, J.J. McCarthy was the best quarterback on third down last year, and that's including throwing 72% last year. Now, do I believe let's say Alex Orji throws 60% this year, right? Do I believe that and 60 rush yards a game makes up for 72% on the completion percentage? No, I don't. But I think if they're able to use the receivers they have, which I don't believe they're like downhill guys, but I think a lot of receivers, especially Samaj Morgan, they can do a lot of different things. I think we talk about opening up the offenses with Michigan. You're talking reverses, a lot of misdirection. I think the running back room is more eclectic this year, if I'm being honest, especially with Mullins and guys like Ben Hall, of course, Donovan. And Bryce thinks he's going to have a big year. I don't think it's that hard to do better than we did last year. But sorry. But, it's just there's a chance they can, but do I think they can do it? No.
Okay. Is that simply because of Alex Orji, like maybe the completion percentage issues that we're talking about? Like, what do you think?
I can't trust a guy who's throwing one collegiate pass, didn't complete it, and threw 48% in high school. And when people compare him to Jalen Milroe, I ask, I mean, outside their physical features, what do they have in common? Because he's not Jalen Milroe coming out of high school. So,
he's got that speed though, is what I think. I think it was maybe not but he's got that like athletic ability and he's got the frame. So I guess that's kind of what you're saying. Physically speaking, he probably looks like Jalen Milroe. Does he throw like Jalen Milroe? Does he run like Jalen Milroe? I know they were saying during Rose Bowl practice that he was giving the defense a pretty good look at Jalen Milroe. But yeah, I mean, he's probably not exactly like Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, no, that's just my only thing. Like, can I be completely wrong? And Alex Orji comes out and he progressed for the last few years. Yeah. I think I've asked Bryce this question before. When it comes to quarterback development at Michigan, is JJ McCarthy the exception or the rule? He's the exception. So I don't know what quarterbacks what is going to look like for Michigan this year in terms of quarterbacks.
You know, that's okay. So that's a really good point. JJ is technically the exception. And I wonder if, I shouldn't say technically, that sounds kind of crappy, but like he is right now the exception. Is that because JJ was the first quarterback recruit that Harbaugh could really bring in that was that game-changing quarterback? Or is that because Michigan, or I guess Harbaugh, wasn't good at developing quarterbacks?
I'd say it's a mix. And yeah, obviously, Kirsten, feel free to jump in. Go back to all of some of the recruits. I mean, don't include Jake Rudock, who I think did get drafted right to the Lions. But Wilton Spate, he had that neck injury, kind of transferred to UCLA, and then ended up going to the league. So maybe we count that one. But then you go John O'Corn, and that was a transfer. That was a mess. That 2017 season makes me want to throw up still. And then Shea comes in. Shea is obviously a highly touted 5-star. I believe, Garrison and I talked about this a lot. I believe you get a Southern bump in recruiting. I think anytime you go to Ole Miss and you commit to Ole Miss, you get a little bit of a extra boost. But still, like he showed all the signs to be a top rated recruit. And Shea had a good career at Michigan. Never lost to Michigan State. Ran into just some buzzsaws at Ohio State. People forget that 2018 game, we were down by 5 at half. And then some special teams plays came into be, wheels fell off, and obviously we got our doors blown off in 18. And then that 19 team was, I think, probably one of Ohio State's best teams ever to field, or to get on the field. So, and then obviously, you get to Cade and to JJ. So, yeah, I think the quarterback room at Michigan over the last couple of years has been fascinating. And I think if you look back at 2021, as a case study for this year, I think could be interesting. We all agree that Cade McNamara wasn't the reason we won the Big Ten in 2021, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep.
So you haven't said that on our show, Bryce. You've said the exact.
I said the exact same thing on our episode last week. You were lagging behind. Must have been. I said those exact same words.
Now, I don't think that's because Cade was bad either. I think he was stability.
Exactly.
He was game manager. I mean, game manager is probably the perfect thing to call him. And I feel bad that he took that as an insult, because really, I think Michigan fans still owe Cade McNamara, after 2021 anyway, Michigan 100%. Fans kind of owed him a debt of gratitude. But then he went to Iowa and started saying all kinds of crappy things about Michigan. It's like, what are you doing? But no, I mean, they didn't win it because of him. He just brought a ton of stability to the position.
Yeah. And real quick on that note, I don't have any hate in my heart to 12. I think what he did at Michigan was huge, coming in against Rutgers in 20. I love him. And he said what he said, and whatever, he's a college kid. But I think you're right. Stability, man. Don't turn the ball over. Make plays. Can you convert on 3rd and 8? Can you convert on 3rd and 7? Can you get Scott out of a hole? And can that be Orgy? Is he too high risk, high reward? And if it's not, can Davis Warren do that? Can Davis Warren make the play? Can Jack Tuttle convert when you need to convert? So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Now, here's something interesting. Okay, so when you were just talking about Shea Patterson, I've got a soft spot in my heart for Shea Patterson because I feel like he kind of got, I'm not going to say shafted because those were some good Michigan teams. What I am going to say, though, is that Don Brown didn't help anything with what he was doing defensively against Ohio State. But actually, so this is going to seem like kind of a wild left turn, but Garrison, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but when I think about Will Howard, I kind of picture Shea Patterson.
Ooh, what do you think? Fascinating.
I don't know if those are fighting words. I definitely don't mean that to be like fighting words or anything, but like I'm trying to think because like I thought Will Howard wasn't really a running quarterback, but it turns out he can actually run a little bit. Shea Patterson wasn't exactly known for running, but he totally could do it. I mean, Wisconsin in 2018, I think he put up a 70-yard run. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I honestly, when you said it, I can actually partially see it. I can.
Okay.
And when it comes to Will Howard running, I think his longest run is 70 yards, and I think he can take it to the house now.
Yeah.
But I think that man, wow, that's not a bad comparison. That is not a bad comparison. I think they're two guys that can be inefficient sometimes, but they'll make you some plays and they can win you some games. They can probably also lose you a game.
So that's interesting then, because I guess speaking of Shea Patterson again, I feel like a lot of the reason he did well and maybe Cade McNamara is not doing so well at Iowa is because of the offensive line as well. So when we think about Will Howard and we think about what can he do at Ohio State if we are going to use Shea Patterson as an accurate comparison, that to me leaves the common denominator of the O-line. And Ohio State's O-line has, for lack of a better word, been totally owned by Michigan's D-line the last 3 years. So coming into this season, what do you think about Ohio State's O-line in that regard then?
I think the left side of the line is secure from center on down to left tackle. The right side of the line is still a mystery. If I had to guess, if I had to have what I want it to be, it would be Simmons, Jackson, Hensman at center, Laughlin at right guard, and probably Teshoba or Montgomery at right tackle. That's what I think it's going to end up being. Now, when it comes in terms of reps and playing time, they don't have a lot. They don't. But they're very talented guys, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Even more so, I think that's why the hiring of Chip Kelly is so huge. If you go back to those Oregon days, he didn't always have the biggest line, but he could run on anybody. It's because his scheme is very complicated and it works on a lot of teams. And then what a lot of people forget about when they talk about Chip Kelly is that when he went to UCLA, he did a complete culture shift in how he calls plays. He went more to a power scheme when he had what's his name, the running back that went to started Michigan.
The running back that started at Michigan?
Yeah, he was a freshman. They transferred to UCLA.
Oh, Charbonnet.
Oh, Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, when he was playing for you guys, I thought he was going to turn out. He goes to UCLA, balls out for 2 years. So I think with the the question mark on the offensive line, Chip Kelly will, I think, definitely help that.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
I'll add to that. That's concerning to me this year. If you listen to us, I obviously have a lot of bad things to say about Ryan Day. Well, a lot of not nice things to say about Ryan Day. One of them being I think he's too soft and he won't run the ball. And I think Chip Kelly's going to come in. I think that offensive line is actually going to be a problem. I think there's a lot of guys with experience. They're coming back and they're going to get the cohesion right. They got an easy first bit of the schedule there, enough time to really get things running. Lack of a better word there. Get the run game going, and that running attack does worry me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, bringing in Quinshaw Judkins, and then if Travion Henderson can stay healthy, I mean, both of those kids are special, for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. And I think what a lot of people forget is that the offensive lines that Quinshawn Judkins played behind were never as good as Ohio State's. And for as much slack and down talk as Ohio State's offensive lines have gotten in the last 2 years, they've still been better than what Ole Miss has had. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what he does with that, because it's gonna be much easier for him to run the ball now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Dad, do we want to hit question 2 then?
Well, hold on. So Ferris has thrown out that the best OSU QB is Noland.
That's craziness.
That's a wild take.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
He might be messing with you just to get you riled up, but
no, I'll say this, like, just to what Ferris said. I think I told Bryce this. I'm not sure. If I had to compare him, to a quarterback that we've had, it would be C.J. Stroud. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be C.J. Stroud. I'm not saying he has a talent of C.J. Stroud, but he's not he can run, but he chooses not to. He's very precise in his passing, very good at getting the ball out, but he's not the most talented quarterback on that roster. And even next year, when Tavian St. Clair comes in, he won't be better. I don't think he'll be more talented than him. So.
No chance Aaron Nolan plays meaningful minutes at Ohio State. No disrespect.
Not because of his own fault. Not because
Yep.
of his own fault.
Yep. No knock on him.
So the next question is, does Michigan have a game on their schedule this season in which they will absolutely need to sling the ball around to keep up? Switching from that running game to that passing game. I know we love to talk about Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. Well, Blake Corum's obviously in the NFL now, but we're hoping Donovan Edwards can rip off a few more of those 80-yard runs. But at some point, Michigan's got to throw the ball.
Oregon. That'll
I
be
believe
the
that.
Historically,
any West Coast team, they would need to throw the ball. That's always been the problem when Big Ten teams play West Coast teams. They're fast, and you need to get the ball in the air to get it out there.
No, well, I completely agree with you, and I think the only difference between, like, say, you guys playing Oregon or you guys playing USC is I think you guys are going to keep the ball from USC the whole game. I think you guys are going to pound them into the ground. It'll be nasty. Like I told Bryce, at the bottom of the game, they should put explicit, just so you know what you're watching. But when it comes to Oregon, they have a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe their defense will be just as good, if not better, than your offense in terms of as a matchup. They let Bo Nix, of all people, throw the ball around the yard last year. I can't imagine what they're going to let Dylan Gabriel are going to do. And he's going for he's going to break the all-time yards record for college football this year. So, I mean, you got Tez Johnson, you got Evan Stewart. Yeah, that'll be the game. Only because your defense is going to be in the field more than they need to be or want to be.
If I'm not mistaken, Dylan Gabriel has the highest odds for the Heisman right now. I think that's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, Oregon had just a little bit of turnover on offense, but not so much that would, I think, impact them in any meaningful way. The question that I have with it, though, is, I mean, and maybe this is basic, maybe this is like, I don't know, just kind of a noob question about it, but what's going to happen when you've got the West Coast style meeting Big Ten defense? And like,
I encourage everyone to go look at Oregon's offensive line recruiting for the last 5 years. And their D-line recruiting. Their D-line looks like Ohio State's, like in terms of size. Like you have, like, it's not like you have 240, 250-pound defensive ends. They have 275-pound defensive ends.
And they're fast.
So yeah, it'll be interesting though. It'll be interesting to see how that game goes.
Yeah, I gotta see Oregon before I believe it. We talked about this a lot, and we disagree on this pretty wholeheartedly. But I just gotta see it before I believe it. I think anytime you lose to the same team in the same season, there's something there that you gotta get over. And again, Washington was really a football team, but to get your doors blown off the second time you play is crazy, and I think they got to get over that. But then, a question about the West Coast. I mean, looking at the sample size, I thought Michael Penix Jr. played his best game against Texas. And thank the good Lord on high he did. And he didn't bring that into Houston because that game could have been different. I don't know what was wrong with him. I don't know what the defense got to him, but we really obviously shut them down, held them to 10, 13 points, 10 points, 13 points.
13 points, yeah.
Yeah, 13 points. And so, I'm be very curious to see. I think, Garrison's right. He's kind of preached that to me that, they got some big hog mollies up front, so we got to watch their run game. But Michigan's got to be able to throw the ball against those guys. I think you look at Ohio State last year, JJ had to put the ball up in the air enough times. I mean, he had that touchdown pass to Roman. And you just, do you have to throw the ball 65% of the time? No. You got to be able to convert in the air. You have to, because you're going to get stuck on those third and longs. And so I'm a little weary of if Orgy's going to be the guy if he can do that. I think he may be able to, but haven't seen it yet.
Right. I think my thing is that if Michigan has to throw the ball just to stay on schedule, then there's a problem. If Michigan is throwing the ball because they can, not because they have to, then they're in a really good position. And I think that if Michigan can get to a point where I think that's going to be dependent on whether or not they can establish the run game against some of these defenses, especially I'm thinking about Texas and Oregon specifically. Ohio State's a whole nother animal. I think their defense is going to be fantastic. But I think Michigan, we're talking about complementary football. If Michigan can maintain some consistency with the run game, then they really don't need to throw unless they want to. And if they can throw because they want to, then they've got Tyler Morris. They've got Samaj Morgan. Those guys are fast. Tyler Morris scored his first touchdown against Alabama, that SEC defense. And that might be, I don't know if that's a flash in the pan, but it certainly has me excited thinking that Michigan might be talking about opening up the playbook a little bit to sling the ball around, and they've actually got wide receivers that can sort of keep up with that. That being said, I actually think that if Michigan has to sling the ball around to beat anyone this year, it's going to be Texas. And I think the only reason I'm saying that is because it's the second game of the season. I just want to see that they can do it. I feel like if they can't do it against Texas, then they're probably not going to be able to do it against Oregon, and almost certainly not going to be able to do it against Ohio State.
I've heard, and I don't remember who said this, but they say that Oregon is the best team in college football to never win a national championship.
You can thank us for
right?
Did you guys say that? Oh, you mean Ohio State? Gotcha.
Yeah, Ohio State.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. That I guess maybe what this offense is going to look like. Did you guys get a chance to watch the Chargers preseason game at all?
No.
I don't.
I heard about it today. I just started to watch it, but I didn't get to watch too much of it.
Yeah, I mean, sure enough, right off the jump, you see them running power. You're seeing two offensive linemen pulling. That's Jimmy Harbaugh. Like, that's what he wants to do. Even in the NFL, I don't care if he's in San Diego or if he's at I was going to say San Diego Chargers, but San Diego University of San Diego, or the Chargers. Like, that's what he wants to do. And will Moore keep doing a lot of that? Probably. But also, is there going to be part of him that's going to open things up a little bit differently? Is it him and Kurt Campbell? Are you going to scheme up something completely different that was just against Harbaugh's culture, way of calling a football game? I'm very interested to see, especially like week 2, like you're saying, against Texas.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I saw that they were reporting that fans were disappointed in the Chargers preseason opener because they lost. And apparently they've never seen any of Detroit's games, because when you lose the preseason, that means you're going to win in the actual season. Apparently that doesn't happen out west. They're not used to that like we are. Mac was also wondering, he says, will Orgy, if he's the starter, have the running ability? So we're going to switch back to the running game. Will he have the running ability to keep Michigan's offense on the field?
Bryce?
Can I say yes?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll say I think so. As creative as these offensive schemes can be, I think so. You got to be able to throw the ball. You have to be able to throw the ball and convert. And so, yeah, I'm going to say yes. I'll leave it there.
All right.
I guess it all depends. I think Sharon Moore offensive line guru. I think he can definitely scheme something up, of course, for him to run. He's had some very good runs before. I asked the question, how many times do you want him to get hit? He's a big man. I understand that, but it's a long. With this new football season, it's a long season. So I feel the same way for Will Howard. I don't know how many hits I want him to take, but I think that's the only question I have. He's going to have success, but not to the point where I think he's out there playing like Cam Newton.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I think Michigan's at quarterback in a little bit more of a precarious spot than Ohio State is, because I feel like if Will Howard got injured, you've got a couple of backups that have experience. As far as I know Devin Brown's still there, right? So he's at least got experience. I think he started the bowl game, didn't he? Or was that
he did, but he got hurt within a few drives.
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe that's not a good
which he tends to do a lot.
Yeah. Okay. But I guess that being said, I mean, if Orji gets injured, then it's Davis Warren or it's Jack Tuttle, and neither of them really have. Well, I guess Jack Tuttle has experience, but he's been shaky at best. Davis Warren doesn't really have any experience, so Michigan is definitely in a precarious spot if Alex Orji gets injured. So you make an excellent point. Like, how often do we really want Alex Orji running the ball if on the off chance that he does get injured? Now, if Will Howard gets injured at Ohio State, I feel like they're in a slightly better position. But that being said, I don't think that Ohio State would want to run or need to run Will Howard as much as Michigan could theoretically need to run Alex Orji, just to make sure that Michigan's got more than one running attack on the off chance that the passing game isn't working. There's a lot of layers to that, but like, Michigan really needs the passing game to work, I think, to keep the running game a threat. So you need one to keep the other a threat in any case. But Will Howard, I think, has a better arm than Alex Orji as of right now anyway. And so I feel like Ohio State's not really in as precarious a position, to say for the upteenth time. But anyway.
Yeah, the drop-off from – not drop-off, but the transition from Howard to Brown is not that great, whereas the transition from Orji to Warren or Tuttle – and maybe Tuttle's a little more mobile, but I don't want to compare those two. I think that transition is a bit greater. I thought during the Cotton Bowl, was Ohio State, Missouri last year, was super interesting to see the whole season play out with a quarterback like Kyle McCord, who's probably one of the least mobile quarterbacks we've ever seen, and then have to switch your prep on offense with everything else had going on to a Devin Brown. And then for him to get hurt and to see that offense, which, let's face it, I take Ohio State's 2s to be able to compete with Missouri's 1s. Yeah. And to see that much of a drop-off, I thought was really interesting. And I think that, can you apply that to Michigan this year? If we did lose Orji, like, what would that offense look like? If your full-time QB1 is getting all the 1 reps and the offense is built around him, he goes down and you have to switch to a different skill set of quarterback. It's interesting.
You know what? I think if Alex Orji gets injured and Davis Warren ends up being, let's just say Davis Warren is consistently as good as he was in the spring game, because I thought he had a pretty solid spring game, then all of a sudden we're looking at 2021 Michigan offense again. I mean, because Davis Warren and Cade McNamara, I think, are extremely similar. So then that opens up the question, if Michigan can at least maintain consistency at the quarterback position, are we just right back to 2021? And then how many games does that offense win? I don't think it's as many, but I think that it's not a complete disaster, actually.
I think it all depends. Well, I think we'll get lost. Not doesn't get lost, but I mean, I think that's expecting this year's offensive line to be the Joe Moore Award winner. I think you're expecting to be that caliber. I think that's what really helped Cade, because I mean, if Cade got blitzed, Lord, I mean, I went to the Hawaii game 2 years ago. I went to the Michigan-Hawaii game. Okay. Now, I couldn't tell if the guys didn't like him. They didn't want to block for him, but it looked like whenever he got blitzed, he could not move back there. So, which is why I think Alex Orji is who you want to start. Because I stand strong by this. Do not bring Jack Tuttle or Davis Warren into Columbus. I think that's the last thing you want to do.
Okay, why is that?
They won't be ready for that. I don't think
Why?
they'll be ready.
I was thinking.
Huh?
Why?
Jack Tuttle, he's in his 7th year, and for me, it's like if you're in your 7th year and you've shown nothing worth even talking about in your career as a college quarterback, mind you, Penix got hurt twice, and you still couldn't take the position from him. I think at that point, you are what you are. And when it comes to Davis Warren, shout out to that kid. That's a strong kid, first off. But we're talking about football right here, and I just don't.
I'm actually inclined to agree with you. I'm not sure why Tuttle came back outside of just wanting to have another year of football, because at this point Michigan is looking for an elite quarterback. We're not back in the Rich Rod and Hoke days where you just need a warm body to get in there so they can play a game. They're looking for an elite quarterback now, and Tuttle has already lost the job. So why come back? I don't think there's a chance that he gets it. I really don't.
I'm gonna nitpick you a little bit here though, because
all right,
Rich Rod had an elite quarterback. Rich Rod had multiple elite quarterbacks even. He had Denard Robinson. He had Tate Forcier. Tate Forcier was a disaster, I understand, but he had
Denard. As much as I love Denard, as fast as Denard was and as accurate as he was, it's the same thing. He couldn't take a hit. He got hit, and he was out of the rest of the game.
No.
Yeah,
I love Shoelace.
You used to call him Glass Jaw Robinson, right?
Yeah, I love Shoelace, but I don't know if I'd say it was an elite quarterback. I love him. Let me get that out there.
You got to remember, we're Michigan fans. We don't really understand what it means to have an elite quarterback until very recently.
Your touchdown record still 25, which I can't understand.
It's because we're run first. The spirit of Bo Schembechler lives on in Ann Arbor.
Die by the run.
Okay.
Die by the run.
And by Michigan standards, Rich Rod had at least 2 elite quarterbacks, and then Hoke had 1 elite quarterback. Yeah. Actually, Hoke should have had 2. Shane Morris was supposed to be good, and he ended up getting concussion, and that was a whole thing.
Right.
Anyway, all right, whatever. Moving on.
Well, okay, so we've talked about Will Howard a bit, but Mac, you had on here that you wanted to ask Garrison what will the offense look any different with Will Howard as QB? Oh, did we lose Garrison again?
I'm here.
You're still there. All right. Will the offense look any different with the Will Howard as QB?
It'll look like the JT Barrett offense, just with better players.
All right.
I don't know if you guys know my feelings on JT Barrett. It's not the greatest. I think he's a trust fund kid who got to be around a lot of talent. He won games. For Will Howard, actually even Chip Kelly in terms of the college football, this is the most talent they've ever played with in their life. I expect him to make a jump in pass, in completion percentage, maybe like 3% from what I think it was 60 last year. So hopefully like 62, 63, I expect. Mm-hmm. His job is to get the ball out to people's hands. That's his job. You got Emeka Egbuka, you got Jeremiah Smith, you got Cardinal Tate, you got Brandon Ennis, you got G. Scott, you got the running backs. All he has to do is get the ball in people's hands. I think it's going to be a run heavy, down the field throwing offense. Kind of like almost like you guys, but just instead of short passes, more down the field because we have the guys for it. So.
Yeah. You have the receivers for a downfield passing attack. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I think Michigan probably doesn't have right now. I think we've talked about this, Dad. We've talked about this with TJ from Michigan Football at Voice of College Football. That Michigan doesn't really have that X wide receiver, someone who's mm-hmm. tall, who's big, who's got that frame to go up and win the 50-50 balls. I don't even think in 2023 we really had anybody like that. I mean, Roman Wilson was just really fast. Tyler Morris is really fast. But yeah,
I didn't know Cornelius was that fast at the combine. That surprised me.
I thought
then he ran a 4.3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Darius Clemens could have been that. I think he's one guy that I was bummed to see go. I mean, him and Keon Sabb, but I thought he was an underrated loss last year because I think he was what you're talking about.
Okay, that's a good point. Amorion Walker, actually, Buckeyes Battle Cry is bringing him up in the chat. I can't remember. He's a tall guy? And I think they are bringing him back to be a receiver because he was supposed to be on defense.
6'3", 182.
6'3", 182.
That's Amorion Walker?
Yeah.
Athletic is all get out.
Yeah.
His hands, more to be desired.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about bringing him back as a receiver. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that's going to work. I know when he played cornerback and people bring up the spring game, I think from 2 years ago, saying that he really didn't have a good spring game at corner. And I mean, he didn't. He absolutely didn't. But then to bring him back as a wide receiver is kind of interesting to me.
Was it O'Leary that was tearing him up all game?
Peyton O'Leary, yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah,
But hey, man, listen. Bryce was a DB in high school. I played DB in college. It says something about you as a wide receiver if they move you to defensive back. That tells you what they think about your hands.
Well, the wide receiver room was a little crowded then. Whereas now if you look at a wide receiver potential depth chart, it's an interesting room. Tyler Morris, Samaj Morgan, obvious 1 and 2. And then who's 3? You got Frederick Moore, who had an awesome spring game. Kendrick Bell, who showed out in the spring, but his highlights were in the second half when you're playing guys I quite frankly hadn't really heard of. And then you got our boy Peyton O'Leary, Amarion Walker, and then you got Channing Goodwin, that freshman, who's Jaden Davis's teammate down in North Carolina. It's an interesting room, a very unproven room, but a very interesting room.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if there's a position group at Michigan right now that has simultaneously an incredibly high ceiling and an incredibly low floor, it's the wide receiver room. Like either Michigan's going to figure out how to use them properly and they're going to have the quarterback and the offensive line to do it, and the wide receivers are going to show out in a way that we really weren't expecting this year, or they're just going to be really good at stock blocking, which honestly, that's fine. If we can run the ball, then that's fine. But I'm really curious to see about this wide receiver room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about just real quick. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this, and I'm going to kind of switch it up. Garrison, what do you think Michigan's ceiling is this year? How many games do you think they're going to win?
Or how many games I think they're going to win, or what's their ceiling?
Both.
Those are two different questions.
All right. I was thinking they would be the same, but okay. Yeah. How many games do you think they're going to win? Let's just do that. And I'm asking about Michigan.
I was at 9-3 until I heard the CJ Baxter news at Texas. So 10-2.
10-2.
I'm beating Texas.
Yep, I have you guys beating Texas now.
Okay.
I think that's news for Bryce actually. And then ceiling. I want to say it. If Alex Orji is everything that's some Michigan fans thinks he's gonna be, that's the ceiling. I'm not gonna say the record. Okay. I don't even want to fix my mouth to say that. So 11-1.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Who do you lose to?
Don't ask crazy questions.
Yeah, you know what's coming there.
Hey,
all right, Bryce.
I'll tell you what, man. On that last November, as a Buckeye in Michigan, I will be the most unbearable person. Bryce won't escape me. I'm driving to his house to make sure he knows I'm here.
Quick plug. He said this last 3 years, so.
Sure, yeah.
Empty threats.
We had Pete and Rob from Buckeyes Battle Cry on. They said that they found the other Ohio State fans living in Michigan, and it used to be their rallying group, and now it's become more of a support group. So we'll see what happens this year. But Bryce, same question to you about Ohio State. How many wins and what's the ceiling?
I think this is one of the best Ohio State teams we've seen in recent history. The question marks are pretty small, which is just painful to say. So the ceiling, I think, is 12-0, unfortunately. I think there's too much talent. I think if they don't go 12-0, Ryan Day's fired. But I'll go 11-1. Nope. I want to say 10-2. Losses in Columbus and in Eugene. But I think they'll split one of those. So 11-1.
11-1. All right.
Hate to say it.
I think that's probably going to do it for the show. Well, Mac, you want to throw yours out there?
Well, I don't know. I've said this before. I think Ohio State's got the best roster that they've had in quite some time, and I fully expect them to be a very high seed in the playoffs. I honestly don't really love Michigan's chances against them this year, but they were due. I mean, we're back in the years of the 10-year war where we're going to go back and forth. I think that's probably a testament to how much better Michigan's gotten under late Harbaugh, early Sharon Moore here. So hopefully that sticks. I'd say, ceiling's 12-0. My thoughts are probably 11-1. Just statistically speaking, it's likely that they drop at least one game. I don't think that Ryan Day gets fired for dropping one game unless it's to Michigan. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I don't know if you guys have watched our channel a lot, but I firmly believe that Ryan Day shouldn't even be fired for losing that one game if he does lose that game this year. I think it's ridiculous that he would even be on the hot seat right now.
I can't imagine being a coach winning basically almost 90% of my games and being on a hot seat. It doesn't. Yeah. And I've told Bryce this before and other Michigan fans, when you talk about when you down Ryan Day as a coach, you're basically taking away from your own program and the success you have had and the progression you have had as a program, as a team. So I don't think it so much has to do with Ryan Day than it has to do with Michigan themselves.
The problem with this argument is that it makes me, Aaron, compliment the program that Ohio State is. But Ryan Day has a great record because you shouldn't lose those games. The games that he wins, you shouldn't lose. So to lose 8 games in his entire tenure, all those wins you should win. That's just the reality of the situation. But he hasn't won the big game. Now the pieces are in place to do it. If he can't do it this year, can he do it? I want him to stay forever. I hope they sign him for a lifetime extension. But I also understand any Buckeye fans being upset. And I think it's justified.
Yeah, no,
I've been cool, calm, and collected this whole show. I'm not going to let Bryce gaslight me on your guys' platform.
It's okay. We need the drama. We need the clicks.
Yeah. Bryce is also probably wondering if I'm even a Michigan fan with as much as I defend Ohio State. I really shouldn't, but I do. I don't know. I try to.
It's okay, Mac. You see great. You know greatest when you see it.
See that's why you can't, Mac. Right there. That's why you can't.
No, yeah. You say things like that, and I'm just going to take the impartialness that I've been trying to give this channel. I'm just going to toss it right out the window and be like, nah, screw Ohio State. That entire program can rot. Anyway.
No, next week we're all Ohio State all the time.
They talk about being a top 3 program, but yet they don't want to act like it. And acting like a top 3 program is expecting what they're getting. And
you have some nerve to say that as a Michigan fan.
I have to talk with you every single week. I have Ohio State followers. I got people in my DM saying all this stuff. I'm way too close to that program. Again, I'm actually complimenting you guys. I don't like that, but it's the reality. So whatever. We don't have to do this now.
But for some reason, we've got Ohio State fans that watch this channel, and if we didn't want the numbers, I'd probably be trashing Ohio State just as much. But I have to start licking their boots. Please subscribe to our channel. Please give us the ad revenue. Help us, guys. We need to grow our audience here. As soon as we hit 1,000 subs, I'm saying screw all of you. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You two know me. As soon as you guys say something I don't like, I'm quick to my fingers start moving. They start moving.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
I need to apologize to everybody in the chat. For whatever reason, I can no longer post chats. It's not updating for me anymore, but I see you guys still talking over there. So I apologize for that. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it won't. But last thing I wanted to say to you guys is we do have that the Pigskin Showdown coming up. I think I mentioned it to Garrison, but hopefully you guys can be a part of that. I won't have you commit to anything on air, but I just wanted you to be aware that that's coming up. We'd like to bring you back for that. It's been great having you guys on. This has been really cool. It's always good to talk to other YouTubers and other Michigan and Ohio State fans, other football fans. Once again, why don't you guys just let everybody know where they can find you? Where's your channel? Where's your social media? Where can they find you?
Bryce?
Yeah, we are at Scarlet and Blue Show, Scarlet Blue Show. We're on obviously all the social platforms. We stream really just exclusively on YouTube. So please subscribe, like the videos, all that fun stuff for us. We appreciate the support here as well. And then Garrison and I have our own handles, but if you find Scarlet and Blue Show, you'll find us. So
yeah,
we really appreciate you guys having us on. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys. This is awesome. This is fun.
Cool. Hopefully we can have you guys back soon. Thanks a lot for being on.
I gotta say real quick, Garrison, if Ohio State loses to Western Michigan, my alma mater, I went to Western Michigan because I didn't have the grades to get into Michigan. If you guys lose to Western Michigan, I need you to understand something. I know that that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. But this is the dream scenario that I'm living in. If that does happen, I'm not going to leave your DMs alone. It's going to be a nightmare for you, dude. Like, we just met, and I think you're really cool, but it's not going to be fun for you. So I need you to understand that.
Mac, if you guys are within 30 points, I will wear my Western Michigan t-shirt for you.
Do it. All right. We'll have you back on the show, and we can both wear our brown and gold, the wonderful colors of diarrhea. Why did they do that?
Hey, you could be Central or Eastern. It could be worse.
I completely agree with that. Dude, you're making it really difficult to be upset with you for being an Ohio State fan. You're awesome, man. This is great.
No,
you hear that, Bryce? I'm awesome.
You can do it.
I can do it.
I noticed Buckeyes Battlecry has said in the chat that they want to have you guys on too. So then it'll be 3 against 1 going the other way if you want to.
Oh, bring it on.
There you go.
There you go. That's awesome.
All right. Thank you again, guys, for being on. Really appreciate it. And good luck with your show. Everybody out there needs to go and subscribe to Scarlet and Blue Show. They've got a great show. You guys do what, an episode a week?
Yeah, we do an episode a week, and then during the season is 2.
2. All right. Awesome. There you go. Everybody get over there and subscribe. Show them some love, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Go Blue. Take care.
OH.
Go Blue. All right. That's awesome. I really, I'm sorry. I can't say I'm sorry. I for some reason, I can't post chats anymore, so we're not going to be able to do like some final chats.
Well, here, I can sort of kind of read them if we want to read a few, because we got Brian Myers in the chat saying IO. I heard somebody say OH the other day. And I almost responded with NO.
OHNO.
Yeah.
Oh no. No, oh no. That is oh no.
Not Hona. OH, dude. Not
OH.
Oh.
I can't spell either.
Okay. No, you can't. That was awesome. They're cool. We should definitely try and get them back on soon. That was awesome.
Yeah, they're good guys. I like them. Their show is really interesting because they do really sort of get on each other about stuff, but obviously they're still friends. They still talk to each other. And it's really kind of cool. It's you know what? That's what it should be about. They can get on each other. They can really sort of hammer the points, but then at the end of the day, they're best friends. And that's what it should be about. I think that's kind of like it's the juxtaposition to the monologue. You know, why is it that there are people out there who just have to attack? They can't stop for a second and have a conversation. They have to come after you and just, call names and say you said something you didn't say or not understand what you're saying on purpose. So that's what I really appreciate about what they're doing, and wish them all kinds of success.
Yeah, we talk about it'd be great to talk to more football fans and stuff like that, just to have fun and enjoy the game and all that. But do you remember when Michigan State was on their cute little run with D'Antonio, and how obnoxious Michigan State fans were?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I still I understand they're bad right now, but with Jonathan Smith, they'll do a lot better. He's a great hire. Hopefully he can bring respect back to the program. But
yeah, we'll see.
I still don't like them more than Ohio State. I like if Michigan State and Ohio State are playing.
Yep.
I root for Ohio State.
I
do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's actually a whole nother video. Is we should probably look at Jonathan Smith. I'm curious if he's going to be as tough as D'Antonio, or if he's going to be more of the nice guy coach. And it'll be interesting. Not that there's anything wrong with being a nice guy. I mean, I'm sure he's a great guy, but when you're coaching, you got to be tough. But not that he isn't. Like I said, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
I just want them to why can't we just say something nice about each other?
I know.
Like Michigan State, you've got a pretty campus, apparently. I don't know, because I'm not a huge fan of landfills, but I've heard it's nice. Okay?
Fair enough. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Don't forget to check out the teamrivalry.com website, where you can now join us for the Pigskin Showdown. As I mentioned earlier, you can go on there. You can pick scores for the games. You can already log in. You can get your username going. So you can join us. There's going to be leaderboards for, now I got to remember all the leaderboards. We've got leaderboards for if you pick the winner or the loser, if you pick the over-under, if you pick the actual score. And then there was the overall.
Yeah. Didn't we do away with like 3 of those?
No, they're all there.
Oh, they're all there. Oh, okay.
It's not
that's
betting.
Just what we're doing.
Involved.
Yeah. That's just what we're doing for the show. Is we're having them on and we're just making the picks for the games. We're not doing the other stuff.
Right. But then but you can also, play along with us basically on the website. It's kind of like the home version. So check that out. Let us know what you think. Also, check out Michigan Football Channel at the Voice of College Football. That's where we do videos on Tuesday mornings. And then you've also got John D'Adamo, TJ and Ferris, TJ Ronan and Ferris Khan doing their shows over there. All great stuff, all fantastic. In fact, all of the Voice of College Football channels are fantastic. Again, check out Scarlet and Blue show. Great stuff they're doing over there. And I think that's about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Most importantly, join us next Monday night, 8 p.m. right here for the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Mac, anything you want to add?
No. I saw a chat and I was thinking I wanted to respond to it, but that's going to open up a whole can of worms. I'm just going to leave that one right there. I'm not even going to say what the chat was.
Maybe we can drop a video on that later.
Maybe
we can. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for subscribing. We are up to 889 subscribers now, which is just awesome. 890. All right. 890. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you again to Blue Wolverine for all of the support you've given us. That's going to do it. We will see you guys next Monday night. Mac, take us out.
This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Good night, everybody, and thanks for joining with us. Joining us, not with us. We're already here.
And go Blue.
And go Blue. Good night.